Coming up, we have former WBO welterweight champion of the world, former kickboxer, holds a master's degree in nutrition. Everybody, Long Island's own Chris Algieri. Guy's fought some of the best welterweights of his era. Let's get into it.
Used to live in Philly.
Hey, what's up, man?
What's up, gentlemen?
Hey, how you doing, brother?
Jeremy, what's up, man?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
Man, I was telling your co-host here, man. I've been watching you for a long time. Watch a lot of your fights coming up.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Hell of a fighter, bro. I appreciate you.
I got one more fight coming up.
So I hear.
So you hear, yeah.
Against another one of my favorite fighters, James Lights Out Tony, baby.
He's a legend, bro. You can't. I mean, defensive specialist. You can't get better than that.
No, absolutely.
They used to spar, though, right? Jeremy and James used to spar back in what, like 2009?
Back in these 2000s, yeah, man. But I've been in the ring with him before, and it's not easy, but it's something I can handle. So we're gonna have a great time. October 23rd. In the U.S. Virgin Islands, and my girl, so I'll lose my virginity in the Virgin Islands.
Congratulations.
We'll be in his corner along with Justin Fortune.
Me, Justin.
Justin Fortune, man, big fan of him as well. Very good guy.
Yeah, he's a great dude, man. He wasn't always a great dude. He was a good guy, but you know he was mean. That guy, he was like a proper.
He's scary.
Did you say scary?
He's scary.
Yeah, I would say scary. I could say.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. You still got that.
Yeah. But you know, I know it's not. His wife calmed him down. Now he's got a couple kids. He got twins. He has boy-girl twins.
Oh, that's adorable. Good for him.
That's adorable. He's got like a couple big dogs. He's got a couple small dogs. He's got the gym. You ever come to LA?
I do. From time to time. Looks like I'm going to be fighting there in October. So
beautiful.
I'm going to be there more. I'm also going to the De La Hoya Vitor Belfort fight. So I'll be in LA then.
And what do you think about that?
You know, Vitor is in my gym. So we're down in South Florida.
Okay. Just want to let everybody know where you're at.
Yeah. So I'm in South Florida right now, training at Boca Pal with Derek Santos, who's also training Vitor. And, Vitor looks good, man. Real good. He's in great shape, which is no surprise. But his boxing is way better than I think people will give him credit for.
Wow.
But is it on the Oscar De La Hoya level?
Listen, Oscar's one of my favorite fighters all time.
Oscar's been a friend of mine since I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
Did you ever spar him, Chris?
No. We're very different eras. I only met him one time at a wedding. Down in Colombia, but I'm literally, he's one of my heroes. He's one of the guys that I looked at and was like, yo, that's what a champion is. That's what I want to be like. So it's always hard to go against Oscar, but I mean, there's a lot of questions. He's been out of the ring a long time.
Yeah. So, well, that said, now I'm not gonna take away from you to talk about that, but is this a fight or is it an exhibition?
No, this is a fight. It's a 3-round fight.
Thanks.
Yeah, they're wearing 10-ounce gloves. Yeah, this is I'm sorry, not a 3-minute round fight, not 3-round fight. Rather, I think they're doing 8.
Is it a 10 or an 8?
I think it's 8.
Okay.
I think it's 8. But it's 8 threes. But it's a real fight.
Okay.
So you know, Chris, you're a very interesting fighter, man. I would say unusual in a lot of ways for people who don't know. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but you were a kickboxer first, champion kickboxer, correct?
Yeah, 2-time world champion kickboxer. Yeah.
And you're a Long Island guy, which I love. I'm from Manhattan, but whatever. We're neighbors. And you turned professional, if I'm not mistaken, and you had no amateur fights as a boxer, correct?
Yeah, no, 0 amateur fights. Yeah.
Wait, time out.
Yeah.
Boxing. I learned how to kickbox. That fucking sport hurts.
Pain. That sport is pain.
This guy named Chris Riley skinny white boy who won the King's Cup in Thailand.
Okay.
First
Ooh.
American to win the King's Cup.
Ooh. Okay.
One time, I was like,
One's enough.
motherfucker, I'm gonna shoot you. I swear to God.
Yeah.
He kicked me so effing hard. It was, and he was just like,
Right. Yep.
and it wasn't even hard, but it was hard to me. But his leg felt like a freaking piece of metal.
Yeah.
So
Oh God.
I always say getting kicked by a world-class kickboxer is getting into a mini car accident every single time they hit you.
I would 100% agree.
Mm-hmm.
so like, how was it hard for you to when you switched over? Because the hardest part I feel like is when, as you're a boxer, you have to suddenly kind of just distribute your weight, stay grounded, not have to worry about shooting kicks. Was that a hard thing for you to transition into, or did you kind of just jump right into it?
No, man. Shoot, it took me at least it probably took me a dozen and a half fights, honestly, in the program of boxing to really figure out the feet and what my style was. Because in kickboxing, I never jabbed. Like, you don't jab because it's so easy to kick underneath it, spinning back kicks. Like, you don't jab. Legs are longer, so you use your legs as your jab, and then you get yourself inside. I was always a good puncher, even when I kickbox. So I would use my legs, get inside, and then punch. I was a body puncher, but also, I used to knock a lot of guys out, kicking them to the head. So with me, with boxing, it was like, yo, I heard George Foreman say, if you want to be a good fighter, learn how to throw a right hand. If you want to be a great fighter, learn how to throw the jab. So for me, I was like, all right, I gotta learn how to jab. So
Wow.
that's why I was spent the beginning of my career just trying to figure out the jab. And honestly, it took me probably 15, 16 fights.
And how old were you when you took up just pure boxing, just strictly boxing?
Somewhere around the 24, 25-year-old age.
How many jabs do you have now?
Countless, bro. Countless. Countless.
I'm going to explain this to people because we have different jabs for different things we do in the ring. So we got a hard jab, fast jab, we got a feint jab, we got an up jab, we got a, you know what I mean? So people just sort of know what we're talking about. So when I ask them how many jabs, we only got one, but so you have a bunch of them now.
A fighter would only understand that question. How many jabs do you got? Because there's not one, there's not three. There's so many different kinds of jabs. Up jabs, pop jabs to the bottom, slipping inside jab, outside jab, dipping your head one way, dipping the other way. Those are the nuances of boxing that make it the sweet science.
Dropping knowledge. That's great for the viewers to know because, yeah, like you said, not many people know about that. So
it's something we know. It's something they don't know. Question.
Right.
And would you take another kickboxing fight again?
Man, it wouldn't pay, but I would.
So if a boxing fight and full fight, let's just say it gave you $100, a kickboxing fight would give you 50, 20?
For me, it might be a little different, because I can make money in either one. I'll make more money in kickboxing than most.
As a comparison.
No, I understand the question. I'm just saying my situation is a little different. I could make more money than most in kickboxing, but it wouldn't.
right.
Yeah, I don't think it would be, reaching $100 would be tough.
Really? Is it because the sport is the sport is not that popular in the U.S.?
Not in the U.S. No, worldwide for sure. And they do things a little different. They do like tournament style, or like Grand Prix, where you fight multiple times in a night. And they do tournament style. You can make good money doing that, but that's rough.
It was kind of superseded by MMA because I remember when I was competing in the late '90s, kickboxing was pretty big then. Mm-hmm. And now MMA superseded it. So yeah, it's not on the same level. But so when you started boxing, did you automatically feel like, okay, I feel at home here. This is what I want to do?
No. It was before that. So I always wanted to box. And then, I'm from Long Island. We didn't have boxing gyms really. We got Buddy McGirt. I just talked to Buddy last week. He's a good friend of mine. And we were just kind of reminiscing about Long Island boxing and Brentwood Rec and whatever. There was not a lot of boxing on Long Island.
Well, there was I'm sorry to cut you off. When I was an amateur still, I used to box because I went to Hofstra for like a year.
Oh, okay.
there was a gym, the Westbury PAL I went to. And that
Yep,
was a gym.
still there. Yep,
Is that
Westbury's still there.
a few, right?
Yeah, so I boxed there before as well, Freeport PAL. But like honestly, that's been in the last like 20 years. Before that, it wasn't that much. So when I was first coming up, there was no boxing. My mother's from Argentina. She was born in Argentina. She moved here when she was like 13 or 14. And I spent a lot of time. Her parents lived with us on Long Island in the same house. So I spent my childhood growing up watching fights with my grandfather, Tito. So we were watching fights, and like I was just like, all right, this is what I want to do. But again, there was no boxing. This was in the 1990s. There was no really boxing gym. So I started martial arts. Got
So
into karate school.
people don't know this. So if you wanted to go to, so in Long Island, be in Brooklyn, right? If you wanted to get to a boxing gym, how long would it take you?
Man, if you included traffic, depending on the time of day, parking, which costs a lot of money,
Yeah.
and you're probably going to get a ticket. You're looking roundabout. You're looking at 3-4 hours.
Get out, really? One way?
Yeah,
No.
for one day.
One
Oh,
day.
If you get caught in rush hour, unless you're coming in, because crazy thing about rush hour in New York City area, it's not an hour, right? Like it's called rush hour. That's a misnomer.
No, it's a few
It's
hours.
3 hours. there's a block of 3 hours in the morning, a block of 3 hours at night. So if you get caught in any of that, you're looking at a 2-hour drive.
Wow.
From where I live on Long Island into Brooklyn and deep into Brooklyn because Gleason's are deep.
So just to paint a picture, when you were growing up, did you get in a lot of fights? Were you that kind of a kid, or were you more kind of peaceful to yourself?
So where I grew up in Huntington, Long Island, it's kind of a fight town. But when I was young, my fights all became from hanging out with my brother. My older brother was 5 years older than me. He was much more of a street kid than I was. I never really was, but I used to hang out with him. And he would bring me around. Even though it was a 5-year difference, which as a kid is a lot. He still took me around a lot, kind of introduced me to the streets, what was going on around. He always looked after me, said, don't do this, don't do that. I always listened, but at the same time, he'd be like, yo, my boy's little brother, you guys should fight. And I'd be like, why? What do you mean? He'd be like, no, you guys should fight. So we would just get we would fist fight in front of everybody. It was entertainment for the older guys, but like it was a fight for me.
Right.
So I ended up doing that a lot when I was a kid. So a lot of like little fisticuffs in the the parking lot of the baseball field, on the diamond of the baseball field, whatever. Just a lot of guys around, just fist fighting as a kid. It just
Wow.
the way it's supposed to when you're a kid. Just punches.
Right,
So
right.
remind us now, how many fights do you have? How many professional fights do you have?
Okay, so I just fought 3 weeks ago. That was my
28.
That was my 48th professional fight between kickboxing and boxing.
Oh, between both. But in boxing, it's 28, correct?
25-3, yeah. Boxing, yeah.
You fought some of the great fighters of the generation. Let me ask you this. What would you say was your most gratifying fight of all?
I mean, a lot of them mean a lot to me. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the Ruslan Pronikov winning the title when I was such a big underdog. I mean, that probably takes the cake because I was so much of an underdog and no one really gave me a shot, and I was really confident in myself. And it was one of those things where it was like I heard the decision and the new, and I was like, all right. You can't really say I'm a kickboxer anymore. You can't say I'm a karate guy because I got that a lot coming up. So,
yeah, I mean that fight, for people who didn't watching, I mean that was a great fight, man, and you showed so much heart. And was he the hardest puncher you ever been in there with?
Yeah. It's the hardest single shot guy for sure. Manny hurt me more. He hurt me worse because Manny's so fast and he would shot I didn't see. But Ruslan, I didn't even understand guys could hit that hard, honestly. that was such a surprise to me. Like, that guy was made out of metal.
Yeah, he was rough. But, I was telling Jeremy, you were one of those guys that when you get hit, you would just fucking bang your gloves and come on. And that a lot of times could drain the opponent, the confidence, and kind of you see their face like, fuck, this is a long night,
Yeah, man, I didn't let him see that my battery was coming down at all. You know, that's very debilitating, and you can see it. Then it was funny. We did a press conference leading up to the fight. I get up to the dais. My first time ever talking to a crowd like that, obviously. And I said, I go, me and Ruslan have a similar style, and everyone was like, "The hell are you talking about?" I'm like, "We both break our opponents." And again, they're like, "What are they talking? What is he talking about?" I was like, "I break you mentally. He breaks you physically. It's a different thing." When I fight, I realize they can't win.
Which one do you think?
What's that, Jeremy?
Which one do you think is harder, mentally or physically?
Well, I think mentally pays off better. When you break a guy mentally, he quits, and there's nothing better. Dude, stay in your corner and let me win. Listen, I've knocked guys completely unconscious. I've had guys quit. I've had guys stay down, take a full 10 count. Nothing is better to me than you sitting there and looking at the ref and being like, "All right, I'm good."
Yeah.
Can you explain, like, how would you break them mentally? Anything you could give out? Because I know you're still fighting, so you probably don't want to give out your secrets. But
nah, it's not a secret. I'm going to hit you and you can't hit me.
Makes sense.
I'm going to hit you and you can't hit me.
Like, you know, like when me and Marco spar, it's the same way. I beat the shit out of him, and he just cries.
Shut up. Listen, so that was your most gratifying fight. And which fight would you say was your most disappointing fight?
The most disappointed ever was, it's tough between the Spence and the Pacquiao fight. Both of them really hurt my heart. The Khan fight did as well in a different way. Listen, losses hurt.
Yeah.
Losses hurt. I don't care who they are, too. I've lost to literally only Hall of Famers. Every one of them hurt a lot in a different way. And at the time, it was the worst feeling of my life I've ever experienced. But going back and trying to figure out which one was, like I just mentioned all three. Like, which one was the worst? So, it was Pacquiao, Spence, it's gone. No, they losing sucks.
Well, dude, losing sucks. Yes.
Losing sucks. And they were I never expected to lose on any of them. So
losing the guys who are going to go in the Hall of Fame as some of the greatest fighters of their generation, it's not a bad ticket, bro.
Yeah, but ultimately, in the historical books, when you look back, because that's all that really fucking matters, is when you look back at the end of time, what it says on the record. Yeah, for sure. But but still, right now, like I'm still a fighter. Like I still have those feelings. I'm not just like, oh yeah, I put up a good. No, I'm still fighting. I'm fighting next month. Like I have that in me still. Like those all burn me up still to this day.
I get it. Winners win.
Winners win.
Are there any? Oh, sorry. Are there any other guys that you sparred with, like really well-known people you learned from? Anything that stands out you could talk about?
Oh man, so I started training with John David Jackson after the Pacquiao fight, and I did like a mini camp with him just to kind of get my feet wet, to get to know each other a little bit and see if it was going to work. And he asked me, and he goes, "Hey man, where'd you learn the shit that you did in the ring?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Who taught you how to do that?" I'm like, I don't know. I spar a lot. He was like, "So nobody taught you to do this, do that?" I'm like, "Nah, man, I kind of just learned on the job." All right. So big thing for me was sparring. I left New York early on in my career, because I understood that New York was not the place to be for me to get sparring, because taking that 3-hour drive to Gleason's to show up, and then a guy doesn't show up, or there's only one guy, or whatever, wasn't worth it for me. Taking that 6 hours out of my day, getting that $80 ticket, whatever. So I started doing camps in other places. I went to Robert Garcia's gym. I did 4 camps there in Oxnard. I went to Las Vegas. I did multiple camps out there on my own dime too. I didn't have a manager paying for that. I didn't, whatever. I worked in between camps, made money, took my fight money, paid off my debts, and then was on to the next one. So I was going to camps, and I was sparring with a lot of different guys. So over the years, Vivian Harris was the first world champion I ever sparred with. Local New York, a ton of local New York guys. Don't talk about world champions, but Canelo Alvarez, Brandon Rios, trying to think who were the other guys. Marcos Maidana I sparred with.
Oh wow.
Hundred rounds with Marcos Maidana.
Wow.
Yeah, I was the main sparring partner for 3 of his camps.
Oh wow. And of those guys, of those 3, those big names, did any one of them stand out the most during sparring?
Yeah, all of them.
All of them.
Yeah, they all stand out because they're all champions and they're all at the top of the sport in one way or another. Yeah, just they're all phenomenal athletes, phenomenal professionals. To be a champion in this sport, it takes a whole different thing. Every one of these people are special.
Right.
What does the rest of your career from this point forward? What's it look like?
Yes.
So I'm 37 years old. I feel great. My last fight was I felt awesome. I didn't feel like I was out of the ring for a long time. I didn't feel 37. Training camp went great. I feel very confident, probably more confident in my skill set at where I am at this point than I ever have in my life. So, we're just gonna look to make some big moves. I got a couple more fights in me. I know that. I understand that this train stops eventually, and hopefully the right way sooner than later. I don't want to be here for too long, honestly. So I want to make big things happen ASAP.
So if you could fight a world champion right now, which one would you fight?
Yeah.
Whoever's got because of my weight class, everybody, the one guy's got all the belts. But he might not stay around for a while. That's Taylor, the Scottish kid.
Oh,
so
right.
He's got all the belts right now. But he may not be sticking around. So I'm at 140. So he's the unified champ right now. So a fight there makes sense. If he moves up and relinquishes, then we got whatever else is there too. But yeah, a world title a world title shot is on my horizon. Being a world champion again is a goal set in my mind.
How tall are you actually?
Depends who you ask.
Matt, how tall are you?
Am I talking to you or am I talking to some girl?
Me.
All right, yeah. I'm just under 5'11".
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So that's extremely tall for your weight.
I tell most people I'm 6'3", but yeah,
5'11". So you're throughout your career have usually almost always been the taller guy in the ring, right?
Yeah, yep, generally so.
Right, and that's an advantage.
47.
Did you watch all fighters as images of what you could do?
Did I watch all fighters? Yeah. So my favorite fighters of all time: Alexis Arguello,
Good one.
Sugar Ray Leonard, Oscar De La Hoya.
Turning off to Z-Snakespeaker _ custom buy.
Sorry, Alexis.
Welcome to Whale.
Alexis,
skill.
off.
Use the Alexa app to enable the skill and do account linking.
That has never happened before. I'm sorry, guys. So Alexis Arguello was the first fighter that my grandfather had told me, the first champion. My grandfather was like, "Yo, that's the guy." Mm-hmm. And then, Oscar De La Hoya. Obviously, I was the '90s kid, so growing up watching fights in the early '90s, your favorite fighters are Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr., and Oscar De La Hoya because that's the '90s, right? Sugar Ray Leonard was come on, the flash, the class, everything about him. His style, his athleticism, forget it. So those 3 guys stylistically were probably the 3 that I most looked at and was like, all right, that's what it is to be a champion. Those are the style, the body types that are like me. But Arturo Gatti, man,
Wow.
another late '90s, 2000s guy that was like, how do you not love Arturo?
Wow. Yeah. No. Absolutely.
Couldn't punch like Arturo, and I didn't want to get hit like Arturo, but his style was fun to watch.
Yeah.
My to you is to watch some Tommy Hearns fights, man, or some brilliant fights.
So Tommy Hearns is one of my favorites to watch, but man, he was way taller and longer. He was faster. He hit. I'm saying right. He was faster than me. He hit harder than me. He was taller than me. Like, I think to this day he would give Floyd Mayweather fits.
It would. His height.
Yes.
And but look, you're the same height. Well, he's a little taller, but
yeah, I think he was 6'1". But
you should be watching those at Mark Breland.
Yes, Mark Breland was awesome.
Guys, Henry Tillman, he's freaking tall as shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like watch tall guys.
Are
Yeah.
are you having any problems staying at 140?
No. Last fight, we made the catch weight at 44. My manager did that because the fight came together on 4.5 weeks notice. And he's like, oh, you worry? He's like, what could you make comfortable? I'm like, I can make 42. He's like, all right, we'll make it 40. It was like 42, 43. He's like, I'll make it 44. I came in 42.
Actually,
I wanted to be under.
okay. You know what? I just realized that was a dumb question because I don't know if many people know this, but you have a master's degree in clinical nutrition.
Yes.
So I don't think you'll have any fucking problems making any weights ever.
Yeah. And I actually just took a job this semester. I'm teaching down in Nova, Southeastern, and South Florida as the class is nutritional neuroscience. So it's my first professor job, which has been always my goal. So
Is that what your life's gonna go after boxing?
that and commentating, yeah, I think so, and writing. I'm working on another book right now.
Okay, so for fighters, this is a problem for a lot of fighters, myself included. What PM1, like the coconut shit, like what can we use for memory?
Okay, so when it comes to brain health, great question.
Yeah.
A lot of factors play into it, right? Minimizing damage, obviously, is important. Not getting hit as much, but we all get hit, right? When it comes to supplementation, creatine monohydrate is the best single supplement or best single thing that you can do other than sleep to help your brain recover and be protected neurologically from head impact.
Say it again.
Creatine monohydrate.
Okay.
It is a white odorless powder. It's usually pretty cheap over the counter. It's the most clinically researched ergogenic sport aid there is. And it has been proven to be safe over and over and over again. I recommend it to anyone who gets hit in their head from any sport whatsoever.
Oh, and you said sleep, right?
And sleep.
See, Jeremy, I told you about Jeremy doesn't sleep very much, and that's important.
Come on, man. You're an older fighter now. No offense. Gotta sleep. That's why I asked when you guys said 9 o'clock. I was like, 9 o'clock. I was like, ugh.
Hey,
Only because he's in California and it's 6 o'clock there. Otherwise, I would have done it.
Okay.
so
Fair.
there's some like coconut CM1 thing that I was asked to take.
Coconut CM1. I mean, send it to me. You have my contact. I'll check it out. I'm not familiar with it at this time, but I can always look it up. And that's the funny thing about science is if you can't read science, you can't read science. And a lot of people pretend they can, but being able to actually do real research and look through clinical papers and understand what the science behind something is a legitimate skill. So a lot of people say they can, but they can't.
Absolutely. First off, did you watch the fight last night? And secondly, what's your opinion on the YouTubers stepping into boxing? And
I did not watch the fight last night because we talked about how important sleep is, and I was not any sleep over that.
You kind of answered the second question, but go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Listen, at the end of the day, we're all entertainers. We have to put butts in the seat. We got to have eyes on us. We got to be, you got to talk that shit. You got to people get excited about it, but it is what it is. It's a spectacle, and I don't think it hurts us fighters. That is, I do respect the fact that Jake Paul has been training for real. He spars. He has good trainers, which I think a lot of people oversee, and they're like, "Oh, he's fighting this former UFC champion." I'm like, yeah, but he's boxing for real,
yeah,
and fighting these guys who don't box and have never boxed and can't strike.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care what they did in any other sport. You can be a great tennis player, you can't box.
Exactly. Hey, this lady from NY Brooklyn girl, she has a question for you.
Bring it on, NY Brooklyn girl. Let's go.
What
do you got?
Question, baby. We're reading. I can read.
She didn't write it yet. So okay. So you think it's good for the sport?
Wait, what? That's not good for the sport.
I don't think it hurts the sport, I should say. I don't think it hurts us fighters because it's giving opportunity. So on the undercard of that fight, you got a bunch of guys who are fighting.
Make it look.
And I've gotten any kind of shine before that. So
you look at it like that, it makes sense.
I was going to ask you this before we kind of go off the topic, but in terms of the brain health and sparring, so do you limit your own sparring because of brain health, or no?
Yes. Yes, I'm very particular about my sparring, especially at this stage of my career. I love to spar. I get bored doing everything else. I'm a fitness guy, so I'm always in shape. So a lot of times for me, when I come into camp, I'm already fit. It's not like I need to get in shape, which I never want to spar when I'm not in shape. If I'm not in shape, I don't want to spar because you get hit with things you don't need to get hit with.
Wow.
So for me, when I get into camp, even if doing all the other things, I look at mitt work. I'm not a big mitt work guy. Mitt work is to work on specific techniques to use during sparring. So I want to do mitts for things I'm going to work on during sparring. I don't want to sit there and look cool in the mitts.
We've talked about that so much. That drives us crazy, the flashy mitt crap.
What are we doing here?
I go. My glasses are read. She's Brooklyn girl. Got the question up.
Is Jimmy Aguirre your cousin?
Jimmy Algieri, yeah, that's my cousin. I got a couple Jimmy Algieri cousins.
She spelled it.
Your last name is Algieri. You're related to me, so.
So I was going to ask, in terms of the sparring, how often do you do you have a limit? Like twice a week? What is it?
So 2021 hit, because I didn't fight all of 2020, because obviously 2020 was a crazy year with COVID and whatnot. And I spent a lot of time quarantined, living in my place down here in Boca, so I didn't have a lot of opportunity to go to the gym and just kind of, just being careful with everything and whatnot. Those gyms in Brooklyn were tough to go to in the height of everything because of New York, so I completely stayed away from all that for a long time. So 2021 hit, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be ready. And I'm going to spar. I'm going to get back in shape. I'm going back in sparring shape, which are two different things. I'm sure Jeremy can attest to this.
Yes, I can.
Fit shape and sparring shape and fight shape are completely different things.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I was like, all right, I'm going to be down here, and I'm going to spar, and I'm going to be in shape. I spar a couple times a week, even with no date. And then when I get a date, it's 3 days a week. I spar 3 days a week, and anywhere from 6 to 10 rounds each session.
It's Jeremy and I met in Kevin Rooney's camp in the 90s. That's where we met, and I remember then I was just become an amateur. It was sparring like 5 days a week and no headgear. And I remember, and we're talking the early 90s. And I remember always just being like, that seems like too much. But you don't say that because then you're going to be called a pussy and blah, blah, blah. But don't you think it's a little like the old how much people used to spar was just too much? Or do you think it wasn't?
Yeah, I think it's definitely too much. Because, it depends on your style also. Like, mm-hmm. Listen, you can, Jeremy, you can attest to this as well. Guys in the gym, there are guys that don't get hit at all.
That's true.
Get hit every goddamn day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's different levels to this game, like anything else. But and there's different sides, and that's one of the reasons why people are like, "Oh, do you like getting hit?" Like, no, I hate getting hit, but like I love hitting people more than I hate getting hit. So I'll take the risk. But at the same time, my style is not the kind of style that gets hit a lot. So I've chose the way that I fight for that reason. Yeah, I can go to war, but I can. I have to.
Sure as fuck go to war, like nobody's business. Okay, well, yeah, that's. I feel like the brain health is actually, there was a fighter from Long Island, Patrick Day. Did you know him?
Very good friend of mine.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Which is, I knew him too a little bit, and anything can happen, and I think limiting that is really important, but not everybody does that.
That one was really tough because like I said, Pat was a good friend of mine. I know him personally. Someone that I've known I knew Pat since he was 16 years old. Sparred with him throughout his teens, and then he got a little big for me, and I stopped sparring with him because he got too big and too good. But yeah, no, Pat is he's a real anomaly because he was always in shape too. It wasn't like he was cutting a lot of weight. It wasn't like he was struggling. It wasn't like he was dehydrated. But that's how dangerous this goddamn sport is.
And isn't that a huge contributing factor to brain clotting? Is if somebody's cutting weight and cuts and doesn't have enough fluids in them?
Yeah. So cerebrospinal fluid is what protects your brain from concussive force, right? That's your brain is literally an organ that sits in a fluid sac essentially inside your skull. What happens a lot of times, a concussion is when your head moves viciously and your skull moves and your brain is a little bit behind, sloshes in between that, bangs against the wall of the skull, causing concussion, usually on both sides. So the less intracranial pressure there is, because the less fluid there is, the more dehydrated you are, the more space that brain has to rattle around. That's why a lot of times guys get injured fatally late in fights. You don't see guys get knocked out early on that have brain damage. It's usually much later in fights. The guys that do end up, passing. Guys like Dadashev, guys like Patrick Day, and the Puerto Rican kid. I'm trying to blank.
Dooku Kim.
Dooku Kim's another one. Late fight. That was the last 15 rounder that we've ever seen, because that's, come on. I've been 12 3 times. 15 is insane.
Don't you think that if they made the weigh-ins the day of and kind of eliminated the fighters even having to, or even being able to cut so much fucking water weight, that would help?
Nope. The fighters do it anyway.
They
fighters care about the health. They care about winning.
Yeah, but put it back.
Yep. There's less time. I think we're now. I don't know what the fix is, honestly. But yeah, the same day is a bad idea.
Worst idea ever.
Yeah.
No room to put the weight back.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was just thinking then maybe everybody would just not try and cut weight and just fight it there.
A nice thought, but fighters try and get any kind of advantage they possibly can. Jeremy, what are you going to weigh for fight night coming up in October?
33, 34, something like that.
Okay. Not too far off, because you were what, in the 220s, 218s?
I'm like when I fought.
No, back in the day, yeah.
18, 15, 13.
Yeah.
But now I'm like I walk around like 42, 44, 46.
Yeah, you still look pretty trim. You don't look like you put on that post-fight, the post-career weight, so.
I put on my I did with the COVID-10. I did that. That was probably like 50.
Come on, 10 ain't shit. You're a fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
I was like, God damn, that's a big old son of a bitch.
Yeah, he what's Tony weighing now? You don't know, right, Jeremy?
I'm thinking like 63, maybe 70.
Wow.
I mean,
yeah. He's put on quite a bit of weight. So
head, big belly, big leg. I mean, he's a big little dude. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, he used to fight at 68. So yeah,
He's a fight. What are you talking about? Back in 54.
54?
Yeah.
You started out at?
Yeah.
Oh, goddamn.
I could be off by a little bit, maybe 56. But
Yeah.
in Detroit, when I was living in Detroit when I was like 18, and he was, doing like club shows at the time, coming up, and he was like 56, 54, something like that.
Skinny with a big ass head back then.
Yeah, but that dude could fight.
Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Still can.
That motherfucker can fight.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that you really wanted to fight and were not able to?
It was funny because obviously I fought Pacquiao. I never had that in my mind at all. I thought I was going to fight Mayweather. Yeah, I for whatever reason, just weight wise, timing wise, I thought that fight was going to happen. And then when the Pacquiao fight came up, I was like, it's just weird because I always saw him as such a smaller guy when I was coming up, and even just watching him as a kid. But yeah, when that fight got announced, I was like, all right, I just got to beat Pacquiao. Then I'll get Mayweather. It was always like, all right, Mayweather's the guy.
Right.
that I thought I was gonna fight. So he was one of those guys that I was like, man, I could see myself in the ring with him, and I thought that would be a good fight, at least a good matchup.
I was going to ask you, stylistically, your style, who do you think between those two you match up with better?
Oh, Mayweather for sure.
Why is
Pacquiao is an absolute nightmare. Southpaw, angles, you can't prepare. I always said the hardest thing about Pacquiao is preparing for Pacquiao. How do you find someone who does what he does? Because no one does what he does, and you can't teach what he does.
And can you explain to people watching, as being in there with him, what does he do that's so kind of rare?
I mean, first of all, he's got bricks for hands. His hand speed is awesome. His foot speed is amazing. His first step is so fast. His angles are out of control, and he does everything wrong. Probably the most difficult thing to deal with. He does everything wrong. Punches you while standing on one foot. He's over weird angles. He throws punches from his hips. Like everything's technically wrong, but he makes it work better than anybody that we've ever seen. So,
wow. Okay. So yeah, Mayweather, I guess. I remember reading that Prince Nassim Hamed, I'm sure you remember him. He used to spar with children because he would get himself used to punches coming at the angles and that you would never expect.
That's interesting.
So Pacquiao, kind of the same thing. I guess Mayweather would have been a little easier for you because even though he's great, you kind of know what.
I don't know if it would have been easier. It's Mayweather.
For your style, I mean.
Stylistically, because he was much more of a classical style boxer and also a righty that would match up better.
Wow. That's cool.
Good enough. Good enough. Hey man, so your next show is when?
We're looking at. I can't really announce it yet, but we're looking at October.
Okay.
Anybody? Is it a fighter? A big name? Little name?
Yeah, can't really announce it yet, but it'll be up there when it's up there. I'm sorry, guys. I'd love to break it on your show, but
yeah, Marco got to listen to what the answers to the question. Anybody, Marco. Like a brother too.
Yeah, hey. So you said that you have a couple more fights left in you. You don't have an actual number of how many until you want to.
Nah, anyone who says they do, they're probably full of shit.
Yep.
Because anything can happen. Come on, like I say it all the time. I could be retired yesterday. If I wake up tomorrow and I don't want to train, I'm done. I don't need to be here.
So it's really that touch and go with you, just however you feel.
It's not so much that it's touch and go. It's that I am satisfied. I'm happy with what I've done in my career. I don't need to do anything else. I'm financially secure. I don't need to do this. I do this because I love it. I do this because I wake up and I want to train. I do this because I go to the gym and I go, all right, this is the day where the young lions fuck me up. And then I spar and then they don't. And I go, okay. The old lion lives on. Let's go for another day.
Hey man, well, thank you for your time. It's a great interview. I like your brain, man. I like your brain.
Yeah, appreciate the time.
Thank you. Anytime you guys want me to come back on, I'm in. This is fun.
We'll take your that.
Oh, that thing you said, that whatever it was for the brain health, so I can go pick some up.
Exactly what it is. And send me that coconut thing too.
Yeah, I definitely will send it. But yeah, we'll send each other both that way.
Okay, perfect.
All right, guys.
Oh.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Great time.
Jeremy, nice meeting you, bro. I've been watching you for a long time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. All right. Good day to you.
All right.